It's week 16 in the NFL. We are talking with Joe Duffy from OffshoreInsiders.com. I'm Peter Loshak. Right now we're going to take a look at the Cleveland KC game. Joe Duffy, last week was reported to be a bloodbath for the books because a lot of, the sides just like KC cashed. All the big favorite, the public favorite, huge favorite sides cashed. The big public faded underdogs lost, and we might have the same thing here. KC minus 12.5 over Cleveland. These teams polar opposites, right? Browns got blasted at Seattle. They're now 1-7 ATS over their last 8. KC crushed the Ravens. They're now 7-1 ATS over their last 8. Teams just polar opposites. KC looking very strong. Cleveland with some positives. Johnny Manziel actually played a decent game, but a lot more of the standard, usual, fundamental negatives for Cleveland showed up last week. Again, I don't know, minus 12.5. Is this going to be another big NFL favorite that covers this week? What do you think, Joe?
It definitely could be. Remember, I said that the last 2 weeks of the year, or maybe when the old cliche about this team has packed it in. Sometimes it does apply very, very late in the season. When people say that week 10 and week 11, it is not the case. And Cleveland certainly had quite the distractions this year with the injuries at quarterback, and then of course Johnny Football. I mean, the distraction I think is his middle name. Kansas City is actually 5th in the league as far as margin of cover or sweat barometer, as some of the young guns like to call it. Cleveland minus 5.3, which is the second worst. And I think it'll probably maintain it because, look, Alex Smith, the mark of efficiency, 1 interception in his last 11 games. And I look at it, Kansas City really has an edge pretty much everywhere. Even when I saw the experts breaking it down, nobody really gives Cleveland an edge anywhere. The offensive line, defensive line, the linebackers, running backs, etc. And especially it does look like Spencer Ware should play for Kansas City, which is important to their ball control. I'm surprised how well they've done without Jamal Charles. I'll admit it. I was very surprised. But Ware's average 6.1 yards per carry. And Chiefs pretty good against the pass, which means, especially Johnny Manziel, we always say that he's maybe, short term eventually will wear out his welcome and kind of get caught up in his own press clipping. So this has some mistakes by Johnny written all over it. If I'm going to lay the big lumber, I would here.
All right, but the question is, what will you be doing? Do you want to give an official pick for the purposes of our video? Record keeping here, KC, right now the line is minus 12.5, total 42.5 or 43 market wide.
Yes, I will give the Kansas City Chiefs as an official pick for the purposes of this video.
There you go. These kinds of sides covered last week, killed the books. Might happen again this week, at least in certain circumstances. Joe Duffy liking KC minus 12.5. Joe Duffy, I hope you had a good week last week at your website. Tell us about OffshoreInsiders.com.
And we have a lot of great stuff ahead, some proven metrics that have worked. There's really a big sharp versus square gap when it comes to bowl handicapping, and we discussed that on ESPN last week. But look, just go to OffshoreInsiders.com, see what makes us the best. You get the picks with the analysis, bowl picks, NFL picks, basketball, OffshoreInsiders.com.
Thanks, Joe.
Thank you, Peter.